Good evening, class. From such a huge, dark subject to very lighter one, Starbucks. Definitely everyone is smiling. So, um, why not Starbucks? Because Starbucks is one of the most popular brand in coffee. It is the first company to get 1 million likes in Facebook, and Spice Latte Cafe has its own Twitter account with such a huge follower. But our analysis is not about any of those things. So the first thing we are analyzing is basically is store density. So Lizette, Ruchi, and myself, Sumana, we formed the team Smooth Like Data. And the questions that we have from the Starbucks data was basically how the Starbucks stores are distributed globally. Do they have any climatic impact, like they have more stores in certain climate or not? Another question that we have, that what are the types of ownership that Starbucks have, and how they have any demographic relationship or not? Then we found out that, okay, maybe we should analyze more of the US data, and we have some observation like demographic factor, how competitive is the coffee market, and at the last we will show you some sentiments around Starbucks versus its competitor. So the data sources that we primarily used were CSV files and a lot of API calls, and Trippy, Google Census, and World Bank. And around the Google API, Ruchi will be elaborating more on that. So going on the global distribution, as you see in US, I won't say US, North America has the more density of store, and as compared to rest of the world. So we see that after North America, Europe and Asia has the little presence of stores, but the continent like Africa or Australia don't have that much stores. So this is a little bit about the code. I won't deep dive on the codes. The important part in this approach was using the base map. Thank God I was using Mac, because I could use, Lizette couldn't use the base map because it has to have two environments, so Mac runs two projects. So I was okay with that. One challenges we had plotting the store distribution over the map. We found out that we have to fix the layering index, and that helped us plot the points on the map. So next question is around the Starbucks ownership. So we found that there are 4 major category of ownership: license, franchise, joint ventures, and company. And to give a little more clearer picture around the world, we have grouped our data as per the continent rather than going by the countries. So we have Asia, North America. We see that most of the stores are either company owned or licensed. And in Asia, they are mostly going by joint ventures. So the ownership and the geographical location has some relationship. Like they do prefer certain type of ownership versus certain type of geographical location. We would love to have other factors come in, like what is the GDPA and all those stuff, but we didn't have that much data. So maybe in the next phase we will cover that. Again, in this code, the main challenges was basically having different x-axis, because the ownership is not all the flavors of ownership was in the in every continent. So there was different x-axis. So we went with using get map and assign 0 value to the ownership wherever it is missing, and then we got equal x-axis. So the interesting that we found aspect of this analysis was climatic impact on the store distribution. Most of us didn't think that much, but we see that 68% of their stores are in cooler country, and less than 10% stores are in extreme temperatures, like very hot or very cold. They generally have lesser number of stores. So other than that, we have, it's a general, yes, I want to point out one of the thing that World API has this weird combination in which they only accept alpha 3, which is 3-digit code for the countries, and we had to somehow convert it into alpha 2, alpha 2 to alpha 3 using pi country. So that was the highlight of this code. So going forward, Ruchi will take over and will provide more analysis on the US.
Thanks, Sumana. Now we are going to talk about the store distribution across USA. Like, what is the store distribution and how competitive is the cafe market? So we see that total number of Starbucks stores which we got, that is more than 13,000, and California alone has maximum number of stores, which is more than 2,800. The spread of stores across USA, it's towards eastern coast, that is more dense area, and this is the analysis of top 10 states which have Starbucks stores there. So California is the number 1. Although Washington is the state where the first Starbucks started their business, but it comes at number 3, followed by Texas. Now we went into some further analysis to check what is the competition between Starbucks stores and other cafes nearby. So we went through the zip code, and for this we use Google Places API search, and we plotted this as per all zip codes, the number of counts. Here the green color shows the Starbucks count, and the yellow is, you can see that it's nearby cafes are too many. And this search was done within the radius of 2,000 meters, that is 1 to 1.5 miles to one Starbucks location only. And that was done for the cafes, bistros, barista, and excluding Starbucks, all the cafes and those kind of steps. Then we found the average number of Starbucks and nearby cafes per state. So here we see that DC has most other types of cafes as compared to Starbucks, which is average number is around 40, and this is around less than actually 5. Then we have taken the percentage of the Starbucks stores overall, and Arizona has more percentage of total numbers of restaurants, cafes, but it has, in here Arizona has only 10 total number of cafes. This was the approach we followed, and this was the most challenging part of our project to call. These were the main challenges, running through all the rows, as Google Places search allows only 1,000 requests per day, and we had the data of 13,608 rows. So anyway, we found out the way to call all the requests. Then there came the pagination issue, because at one page there are only 20 requests. We solved that, and then we found that it is giving me all the Starbucks stores in itself. So this is the last one, is the code which we followed for the page to solve the pagination and to remove the Starbucks from there. And we got a data frame, and from there we did our other analysis. Now, other than this, we have some demographic factors on the store distribution, for which Lizette will tell you more about it.
Before Lizette starts, just want to say that the basic of that analysis was that Starbucks is not running really smooth it has its own type of competition. As you saw in the graph, that there are a lot of cafes that are giving them a lot of competition. It's not like it's running smooth because it's number one cafe.
Okay, so the next thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to do demographic factors against the store count. So the questions that we wanted to answer was, does population per state or race have any relationship with the store counts? Does the Starbucks target a specific age group? Does income have any relationship with store distributions? And are there enough Starbucks in nearby neighborhoods? So the first factor that we looked at was population. And if you look, we looked at the relationship of California, which has the maximum number of stores, and the highest population, which showed that there was a direct relationship between the store and the population. But if you look into the graph, you will see that it doesn't show a direct relationship with all the different states. Washington and Utah, if you look at Washington, it has a high population, but it has a low store count. And for Utah, they have a low population, but a very high store count. So there are other factors that are affecting it. The approach that we took was we used the census API to group by state, and then we compared the population to Starbucks, the Starbucks store. The next factor that we looked at was the median age group. And as per our analysis, the number of stores target individuals in the age 35 to 55. And you'll notice that the least number are anybody that's over 55. So the next factor that we looked at was income. And if you look at the chart, you'll see that the target customers for Starbucks are in the income level 60,000 to 120,000. So the approach we used was we created bins or buckets for each of these groups. We created a function that does all the buckets, because in our analysis we have most of our analysis were done using buckets. We have it in temperature, we have it in income, and in the age group. Then we wanted to find out, okay, we have Starbucks locations. Now we wanted to find out, are there any other zip codes that Starbucks can still build stores in? So what we did is we took the criteria of what we analyzed. We used household income of 60 to 120, a median age of 35 to 55, and the population, we ranked it by the state population, the top 5. And here is a list of basically the top 20 that fit that criteria. The next section is we wanted to find out sentiments, people's sentiments on Starbucks. So the questions we wanted to answer was, what is the male versus female sentiment for Starbucks? And what is the sentiment for Starbucks against its competitors? You will see that male tweets tend to be more positive, and the female tweets tend to be more neutral. So the overall sentiment for Starbucks is neutral. The approach we took was we used Tweepy to get all our tweets. We used the Vader sentiment to get sentiments for the tweets. And we used a new package called Gender Guesser, which basically what it does, it tries to, or it determines whether a person who's tweeting is a male or a female. So there were also some unknowns, because if your name is not, if your user is not either male or female, they won't know where this, we kind of pulled that off. So we run a t-test on the male tweets and the female tweets, and you'll see that the male tweets seem to be more related to the are more to the overall sentiments than the female. Okay, so now we compared the feelings of the tweets of Starbucks against those that are in Dunkin Donuts and McCafe. And we see that the sentiments for McCafe are much more positive than the one of Starbucks. And Dunkin Donuts actually has, it's almost neutral, it's almost, you don't see a difference. But you'll see that McDonald's coffee is really good. I guess, because people are. Okay, so basically what the approach we used was a search, we used the hashtag Dunkin Donuts, Starbucks, and McCafe to get all the tweets. Okay, I'll pass it to Ruchi, she'll close.
Thank you, Lizette. So as per our analysis, these were our takeaways. Like we saw the global distribution, store ownership, climate has an impact. Starbucks has a lot of competitors and the Twitter sentiments. So our analysis is not stopped here because we know that there are many key factors which may affect store density across the world. So we will keep doing this project. We will try to collect the data and keep grinding until we brew the one more cup of analysis. Thank you.
All right, questions?
When we say, you compare Dunkin Donuts, McCafe with this Starbucks, all the stuff, right? Is there anything analysis we did based on coffee price?
I know. This analysis is totally depends on the location and the store counts. We don't have any sales data right now, no product information.
No, I'm not talking about sales.
Yeah, I think she's
Yeah, I
talking
will
about the
take that.
tweets.
Are you talking about the
So
Twitter?
it's basically based on a Google search that who are the top competitors for Starbucks, and Dunkin Donuts and McCafe turn out to be the most most popular competitors for Starbucks. So based on that, this analysis, the Twitter analysis was
Yes,
done.
that's what, the reason why
It
I'm
was-
asking this question is, if you go back to two slides, they said, no, McCafe is the positive. Coffee McCafe is any size $1. One thing. And the Starbucks is minimum, even if you go to the tall coffee, the least size is $2.17, something like this. You go to the Dunkin Donuts, different cup price. So because of that, maybe the reason people are giving McCafe the positive.
Yes,
That's what I
definitely.
found the do analysis on this one.
Yeah, the price factor, sales data, we didn't have that much, so we didn't have time also to incorporate the pricing. So definitely that will be a thought process with data.
Here's my question. My question is, how does the demographics compare to the US?
Yes, Lizette has the answer.
Yeah.
Compared to the US though, I have the total demographic.
All right.
It's 320 million is total.
Okay. But how did, so you were showing some graphs earlier about like income or about like those pie graphs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, maybe one before it. So you had this by age, or does that look like America, or does that look different?
Oh, we didn't compare it.
I know about the adult one.
Yeah.
Definitely in US, the ratio of that age group is more with respect to rest of the. So they are in sync with population, at least with this portion.
Did you look at any closing of the store?
No, we didn't have. We tried having opening and closing data somewhere, but we're not able to get it. But definitely that will be also a factor, and also the key factors that we found out is sale, property pricing of that particular area that could enhance our analysis.
You guys had mentioned that you were going to look at population and also race data. Was there any conclusion that you came to?
Well, in the population group, you'll see that it's mostly white. So this blue, this light
Right.
blue, so it kind of has the same trend as the overall population. So when you see a high population, the white population is the majority of that population.
Right, and
So-
that's not necessarily normalized for the population of
yes.
the United States as a whole.
Yeah, so we didn't include that in our analysis because as per the US demographic spread, that's how the population is. So we can't say that they are
Okay.
preferring any gender.
Jim?
So how does the gender decide on work? Like, does it?
Okay, so gender guesser, it's a package in which they
Oh.
have predefined names. If it's an actual name, then only they take it as a male or female, and otherwise they put at the max mostly male, mostly female, and rest anything with signs, maps, they throw it up.
All right, thank you so much, guys.